My name is Matt Winslow. I work for Readyman. I currently handle all e-commerce. I start climbing the gym quite frequently, typically 3 to 4 times a week. But the cool thing about climbing outside is you get to have these big grand adventures, which is what I was wanting. Being outside, fresh air, the epic scenery, there's nothing like it. Luckily, I have a very good climbing partner, my cousin Mitch, and we get to have these adventures together.
My name is Mitch Clark. I've been climbing for about 5 years. I got into climbing through kind of Boy Scout activities, and then when I went to college, I really got into it with a bunch of friends. It was just kind of the fun thing to go out and do, and it went from climbing in gyms to climbing outside to climbing big mountains to climbing on ice, and then putting all that together. The first day we got started at the White River Trailhead, and it was probably about 9 o'clock, and it was beautiful. There's giant pines everywhere.
We hiked for about 3 miles on the trailhead until we came to the interglacier, and that was the first glacier crossing that we had, but it was super mellow.
We made pretty short work of that. It's not a technical glacier, it's really easy.
Mitch had a fabulous outfit. I'll let the video speak for itself on that one.
Got me showing off my Euro trash look. Makes me faster. European, like a Ferrari, Lamborghini, Peugeot, I don't know.
Peugeot?
I'm just naming European cars, manufacturers. Volkswagen. Oh yeah, we got the mountain, eh?
I think we'll stick with Peugeot.
Yeah, this is the Peugeot look. Maybe Saab, I don't know.
Alfa Romeo, maybe?
Yeah. No, Alfa Romeo, I'd have something like right here.
A little sexy little sports car.
Yeah, and there's fast and light. It's carbon fiber. Little 4-banger, probably gonna fall apart on you.
Anyways, at this point, we caught up to 5 people, so we're making good time.
We got up on St. Elmo's Pass and saw our first large glacier, which is the Winthrop Glacier. That glacier was the biggest glacier I'd ever seen, and we thought the crevasses were big there, and it just looked like teeth ready to eat you at some point because there's just big chunks of ice sticking up, ready to swallow you.
It was a maze trying to get through there. Mitch led, and he was prodding and poking to make sure that we weren't crossing over any snow bridges that might collapse and pull us into a crevasse. So it was very tedious, it was tedious but very intense all at the same time.
We spent a lot more time on the Winthrop Glacier than we thought we would, and we ended up getting a little too high on it and coming up on Curtis Ridge At about 9,000 feet of elevation, we had to lose about 1,200 feet.
What's our current situation?
Humboldt. We crossed the Winthrop Glacier, and here we are at the Carbon Glacier with our route right here. So everything looks familiar. We know where we're going now. We've just got to lose about 800 feet of altitude to get back on the Carbon Glacier. Cruise it.
It'll be a fun day. That was a rough day. We got up at 6:30 and it's now 11:15. We've been going all day. We didn't quite make our goal of getting to Thumb Rock. We are sitting here at about 8,700 feet right now, so considerably short, which means we're gonna have a really big day tomorrow, almost like what today was. It's gonna be rough, but at least we get sleep and drink some hot chocolate. Yeah. So, and hopefully the wind doesn't tear our little tent apart.
Yeah. Should be an interesting night.
Yes, it will. The second day, I felt like I got hit by a train, to be honest. We had been going for 18, 20 hours at that point, the previous day, and it just mentally and physically wiped us out. So we gathered up our little bivvy site, and we made our way across to try and gain Liberty Ridge proper, which proved to be a little bit more difficult than we thought and how it looked. There were some major crevasses spanning 70 feet across and 150 feet down. And there were several that we just didn't think we could get across. We were pretty late in the season by that point, so Liberty Ridge was getting more and more out of condition to be climbed. And we were just hoping that we could find a way through the maze. Luckily, a lot of the crevasses that we encountered, you could walk all the way to one end and realize that there's a small little bridge that you can cross, and that happened more times than I can count. This is where the actual climbing begins. Gotta climb that to gain the ridge.
Ice is a little too soft, you can't get any picks to stay in it. So, an err on the side of caution. Solid.
Once we got past these big crevasses, this was kind of the point of no return. We felt that it was actually more dangerous to turn around and go back than it was to keep moving forward. So we tried ice climbing up to gain the ridge proper, and we did, but too much rock was coming down on us at that point. We had a close call in which Mitch almost got drilled in the head with a bowling ball sized rock, and we felt that we had to take a more safe approach, as safe as it could be, so that we weren't getting hit by a rock and being pulled off the mountain.
And at this point, instead of roping up like we had for the glacier travel, we put the rope away. That being said, the slope of Mount Rainier is about like that, so it's like you never feel like you're gonna fall. You can always lean into your tools and stuff, so you can kind of go at your own pace.
Dude, what is happening right now?
Well, we're finally on Liberty Ridge, and we're kind of just moving from rock outcropping to rock outcropping, dodging all the falling rock. It sprays down intermittently, but as it warms up, it's breaking off more and more. And it's spitting off some big chunks of rock. We already had a few close calls. We're just kind of trying to sprint up this slope.
A lot of people tell me, they're like, well, oh, climbing's dangerous. And as people, we engage in dangerous activities all the time. We'll jump in a car and do 80 miles an hour down the freeway next to other people that are also doing 80 miles an hour. And that seems really normal to us. And it's because climbing's not normal to us that we're more aware of the risks. And for me, I think what makes it worth it is being in touch with my mortality, knowing who I am and what I'm up against, because the elements that you're up against, they don't care who you are. All that you have to survive is basically your know-how and your partner's know-how and the culmination of your skills together. And so for me, it's a really good measure of what I'm doing and how I'm training and where I'm at mentally. What makes it so exciting is just the rewards and what I learned from myself in doing that. And I don't think I could get that any other way other than climbing mountains.
I'm done. It's bent. Brutal.
We started on Liberty proper at about 10 o'clock a.m. and we didn't get to Thumb Rock until about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock or so.
Thumb Rock's where we intended to make our first campsite, but because of the glacier travel being so difficult and just route finding, we camped below it. But when we got up there, we decided we'd set our tent up and kind of let things cool down because it was the middle of the day. And we were pretty exhausted from that sprint and in a safer place where rocks weren't going to hit us. So we set up our tent, brewed up some food and some water, and we took about 6 hours just kind of waiting for everything to solidify and harden again for the upper slopes.
It was a rough 800 feet.
Yeah, it was.
We could see a little bit of ice starting to form, and we found a boot pack from parties that had come earlier. So we would follow that and just kind of punch our way up with our tools, and it was a real calf burner. That was probably what slowed us down the most, is our calves would be on fire and we'd have to cut out a little step just to get a break from that burn. And we'd take turns, each of us leading parts, just trying to make that boot pack better and better, because it's a lot easier to follow whoever is making the boot pack than be the guy making the boot pack.
Worn out physically, mentally. We're at 12,700 feet right now. We've been exposed, extreme exposure for 4,000, 5,000 feet. It just wears on you mentally. One slip up and you're gone. Got a crevasse that's to my back. We're gonna try to find somewhere to bivvy for tonight. Just want to get off this fucking mountain though. I knew going into Rainier that the biggest challenge wouldn't be technical. We're pretty good ice climbers and we're pretty good rock climbers. So the technical aspect of it I wasn't too concerned about that. I was concerned about that mental fatigue, and we had a lot of it. Being unroped on, water ice 2, just doing that for hours on end was mentally exhausting.
Well, Matt's attempting the final crux of our route. It's the Bergschrund. We've been lucky enough to find a pretty solid boot pack once we got to about 13,000 feet, something like that. We're pretty frayed, but we're just trying to push up to the top where we can make a safe bivvy.
So we made it up to the Bergschrund. I think it was about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. It was dark, so we were using our headlamps at this point. And the Bergschrund is the crux of the route. I mean, that's one of the hardest parts. The Bergschrund is a major split in the mountain. So you have a wall, typically of hard snow or ice, with a crack in between it. So you kind of have to step over, get a tool in, climb up the schrund, as it were. And we still weren't roped. It was kind of a hard snow, so you couldn't get an ice screw to stick properly. Otherwise, we would just belay it. So we ended up soloing up the Bergschrund. And I got my tool in there, and it felt pretty good. So I ended up just getting good tool placements, making sure they were absolutely bomber. And I pulled the schrund, and I knew that we had the rest of the route in the bag.
We both just climbed the short little 20-foot section on our own. Having a camera strapped to our chest, though, at least for me, it was a little difficult trying to stay close to the ice and just stay in that good ice climbing form with your hips up against the wall, making that reach. We both eventually got through it, and it was really dark at that time. And we cruised up another 100 feet or so till we found some flat ground.
What are we at?
13.6.
13.6. Not much further to go, just another 600 feet. We'll do a quick little bivvy. That's the summit. Catch about 3 to 4 hours of sleep, maybe more. We're pretty worked.
Definitely more.
Yeah, and then we'll cruise down the Emmons Glacier with hopefully less stress. We'll definitely see people there, so that'll be nice. We've been isolated for probably 36 hours, and all these factors have definitely taken a toll on us. The exposure, the isolation, the physicality of all this, and the mental game. But not much further. We're through all the tricky, hard stuff. Got past the last crux pretty easily, the Bergschrund. So now all we have to do is keep trudging on.
We woke up the next morning, again a beautiful sunrise, but the most frigid, cold start you could ever have. The ice actually looked really cool. It was really featured because how cold it was. We got some breakfast. I wasn't really hungry by that point. I just wanted to get off the mountain. I think Mitch was in the same boat. You can see on his face how slashed he was, and I was too. And we looked up, and I thought that we had another 800 feet to go. And so we started to trudge up this 100-foot hill, and I was thinking we were still going to have another hour or two to the summit. But we made it to the top of the hill, and we kind of just looked around and looked at each other and went, "This is the summit." And so I looked at my altimeter and it said 13,800 feet, and I'm going, oh, well, great. That's been off this entire time and has been kind of mentally screwing with me.
And so that was just an interesting but really awesome experience to just kind of wake up, trot up the hill a little bit, top out, and share some pictures, and be excited about that. And then we wanted to actually be on the top of Mount Rainier because Liberty Cap Glacier is kind of this big bulge just kind of sticking off of it. So we ended up descending another 400 feet and then climbing up 1,000 feet to get onto Mount Rainier. And it's called the Columbia Crest because it's just this ring of the volcano.
The biggest takeaway for me was I just want to do it again. Apparently alpinists have bad memories because they don't realize how bad it sucked, and so I must have a pretty terrible memory, but I'm just looking for the next adventure, and that was a great stepping stone for me, knowing that I could conquer a big mountain in the alpine style, taking as little gear as I can and just going fast.
For me, the most rewarding part of the experience was just seeing that I can do really hard things. I'm by no means a pro climber or even a really, really good climber. I mean, I go to college, I shoot video, and I climb on the side. It's something I've dedicated myself to, but not to the degree of any professionalism. And so just seeing that I could do something as difficult and trying as Liberty Ridge with everything I'm doing in my life and being able to set up like a training regimen and see all of that through, it just really helped me learn what I can do as a person and got me excited for future endeavors as well.